this amazing 2-day DIY marathon, and it's all about spring, decoupage, stencils, and bling. So all three things you will see all today and tomorrow. You can watch all of the streaming live DIY craft shows over in the Craft Round the Clock group, and the link to that group is in my video description so that you can find it. Let me move some things out of the way. By the way, we are streaming live on Facebook and YouTube so that I can see all of my friends today. I want to see who's here. You guys, it's going to be lots of fun and lots of excitement, lots of fun things heading your way. Good morning, Miss Cindy, Miss Austin, Miss Cynthia. How are you? Listen, today, during each live show, and tomorrow for that matter, during each live show, you have, you have, you have the option to have your name selected to put into a pool that will be selected for some special gifts. And one lucky gift receiver will receive a $50 gift certificate to each of our three sponsors for this weekend. Who are our sponsors, may you ask? By the way, you must be doing that on Facebook. If you're watching this on YouTube, you'll want to head over to Facebook for the opportunity to get your name in the hat for that. But Essential Stencils, have you heard of them before? They're absolutely amazing, give you tons of tools and fun things, designs, and stencils for every season of the year to create some amazing pieces. Even if you're more than just a crafter, maybe you like to make things and sell at craft shows or whatnot. Check them out. Okay. They have some amazing products. Our second sponsor, Totally Dazzled. But just as it sounds, they have lots of bling and not just blingy bling, but they have bling for all kinds of different styles. So check them out at totallydazzled.com. And our third sponsor this weekend is Miss Catherine from Digital Deco Designs. She creates some wonderful digital art pieces that you can print and use in your crafting and DIYing. So good morning from Oklahoma. How are you? Hello, Miss Yvonne from Georgia. Listen, I'm so excited for today. And when I was asked to be a part of this event, of course, I was honored. But then I was quickly followed by a little bit of state of panic. A little state of panic because you all know I don't use a lot of these things very often. But I've seen some beautiful things and I've wanted to try them. So it was a perfect opportunity to add some of those tools to my crafting toolbox. And I think you're going to like what we're going to be doing today. And I'm going to give it, of course, my vintage and primitive style spin on things. And just let me show you what we're doing here. I had to send the hubby out to the garden this morning because I had this, I've changed my project idea about 5, 6 times. But something hit me about 4 a.m. this morning. Was anybody else awake at 4 a.m. or just me? Um, right? How are you, Cheryl? Well, let me show you what I was thinking about. I have some, you have seen, if you're a regular follower here at My Sweet Home Living, you have seen me create out next to my garden, out next to my flower garden, by the way. My flower garden, and I apologize, my mic wasn't attached. My flower garden, I have several of them, but I have one of them that's surrounds my whole chicken coop and chicken run. Okay. In that area, I like to use lots of vintage pieces, including this vintage garden rake. Okay. I've just been using this sort of as a prop in my flower garden. But let me tell you, I have a whole wall of wire that surrounds my chicken run, and I like to hang things on it. Think of it as, you've seen lots of pretty pictures of people creating like wall collages, right? Well, this is sort of like a fence collage. And I hang things there, signs, and random chicken themed things that I find when I'm out picking and junking and things like that. Good morning, Miss Cheryl. Hey, Mary Lou. So I'm going to be using this garden rake on that fence, I've just been using it as is, but I'm going to be dressing up this rake today, and I'm going to be using it hanging sideways. Okay. So, hanging sideways means that I can hang things from this pole. So this was my inspiration along with garden flags. You all know like the little mini garden flags that you see, you know, next to people's walkway, or they might hang one by their mailbox or whatever. Well, that was my second part of my inspiration this morning at 4 a.m. So we're going to take these two things and let them inspire us to create some things to make something really vintage and make it super cute to hang on my garden wall collage, if you will. I don't know what we'll call it, but that's what we're going with right now. So that rake is ginormous and long. So I just kind of wanted to show you that because that's the piece that I'm going to be working with. 3 a.m. for you, Mary? Oh my goodness. Okay, so I have coffee stained some fabric. We're going to be using some coffee stained fabric. Yes, we are. And it smells amazing. And I was just doing this morning at 6 a.m. Nothing like changing your mind about a billion times, right? Um, and I forgot to share myself. Poor Miss Sheila. All of the ladies and that have been organizing this event have been doing an amazing job. And I'm telling you, they deserve a big round of applause. So if you are at home, give them a round of applause. You can do it silently. I know it's early. Just give them a big round of applause because they have done a tremendous job at organizing such a large event. So I'm so thankful to have um there we go. Have them helping out. And I wanted to make sure that I have comments down here because comments sometimes haven't been working on screen. So I can see you all in all the places. You have an old shovel. Well, see, Miss Dana, you could use this same idea that I'm going to be showing you today with an old shovel. Anything, you could even use a long or a broom, like an old broom, and you could use the same idea for something to hang on if you have a long blank space on your wall. Anything with a big wooden pole, a big wooden handle will work for this. Okay. All right. Now, let me just show you the stencils from Essential Stencil that I've selected. Big shout out to these sponsors, you all. They have just showered us with amazing things to use while we're creating with you all this weekend, and we're ever so thankful. Hey, Miss Irma, how are you? Catherine, welcome. First time here on YouTube. Hey, Miss Regina and Brandy on. I'm sorry, you're on Facebook. Miss Brandy and Regina on YouTube. Welcome in. So this is the set that I selected from essentialstencils.com. And this one is called, I think it's just called Farm Sweet Farm. That's the set. It comes with 4 pieces. Now, listen. You know where we're going with this, right? Remember, I told you this was a flower garden that surrounds my chicken coop and my chicken run. So we're going with a little bit of a chicken theme. I couldn't resist that. uh, and the other piece to this that I'm going to use, I might use this one, Farm Sweet Farm. Everything's gonna be backwards for you all. I apologize. Does that seem that's still backwards for you all? There you go. The good thing about stencils, you can flip them around, you can see them both ways. Farm Sweet Farm, or I could use Farm to Table. Let me show you what this one looks like. And I'll show you the things that I'm going to use with these to really make this super sweet. This one is another, there's 4 stencils in this pack, which is amazing. You can reuse them. They're not just a one-time thing, but how cute is that? How cute is that? I have another project in mind for this one for another day, but I'm going to use 2 of these that I just showed you. And I'll probably put Farm Sweet Farm. Farm to Table seems like, it might offend my chickens a little bit. What do you think? So we'll go Farm Sweet Farm. Okay. Then I have a whole package of beautiful antique bronzed bling from Natalie at Totally Dazzled. Okay. Now, you all know that I'm usually not a super blingy gal, right? And I told Miss Natalie that. I said, I love your bling, but I don't have an ounce of bling in me. Really, sometimes I do. But so she sent me some things that really appeal to my vintage style. And let me show you some of the pieces that she sent me. This is in her pot, antique bronze one and antique bronze two. But look at these. Look at that. Isn't that amazing? I'll show you guys on YouTube as well. It has a really dainty little pearl in the center, and it's not super flashy. It gives you the feel of vintage jewelry. So I love that. And all of the pieces that she sent me are very similar in that style, which I totally appreciate. So if you're like me and you don't like super flashy bling, your antique bronze selection will probably like where you need to go. Okay. Now, my third piece to this whole project today is from Miss Catherine, our third sponsor at Digital Deco Designs. And she has some beautiful pieces, but I wanted something that kind of fell into my whole farm themed project idea. Yes. I've changed my mind about 5 billion times. So I have lots of things from Miss Catherine that I'm going to be using in future projects. So, but today we are going to be using this fun vintage themed carrot design of Miss Catherine's at Digital Deco Designs. It's everything, you guys, almost nearly everything on all three of these sponsor sites are on sale this weekend. So hurry on over there. Shake your tail feathers and get over there this weekend on their websites. This one's from Digital Deco Designs, and you can just search carrots. Go to her website, search carrots, you'll pull it up. She has a set of 4 prints that you can print off, or you can buy them individually. This one only cost me like $2 and some change because it's on sale. And I printed this particular design on fabric this morning. Okay. Now, if you don't know how to print on fabric, I do have a video tutorial that shows you how to do that. But real quick, I took a piece of cardstock paper. I put a very, 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 did I say very? Thin layer of Mod Podge, not Coffee Podge. I did the plain white Coffee Podge on my cardstock, and then I laid a piece of fabric on top of that, pressed it down good, and I even went over it with a warm iron. Okay. And it held it together so that I was able to put this in my printer and it fed through my printer and printed on that fabric. Is that not amazing? And then when I'm ready to use it, I probably should heat it back up to peel it off. But if you go super light with your application of Mod Podge, it will print, it will pull off. I should have done that before I came on. Put your iron back on there and it will heat up that Mod Podge and then you can pull it right off. Okay. All right. So I'm going to set my heat on that for just a little bit and then we'll pull it off gently. And if we have to, I might have to run with me to the laundry room to grab the iron. Okay. So let me show you real quick. I coffee stained this fabric, and this is what I came out with. And I love all of this old wrinkles and discoloration because, it does look like it's fabric that's been sitting around for a long time. I had lots of discoloration because of the way I folded it and wrinkled it as it was sitting on the baking pan in the oven. My husband came in the kitchen this morning and said, we got anything to cook for breakfast? Or he goes, what did you turn the oven on for? I said, I have some things to get ready for a craft and I got to put some fabric in there. He's like, what? I thought you were making something for breakfast. And I said, sorry, you'll have to wait. So that's why, yeah, he was disappointed. But this is the before. This is what it looks like after you coffee stain it. So pretty big difference there. Even though it's still subtle, it gives you a much more vintage vibe, right? So I had to show you the before and the after. Let's toss that over. Okay. I have lots of things here that we're going to be using. So we're going to get the ball rolling here. I am going to start with the stenciling, and we'll get those two items done so that they can start drying. Okay. Woo! About nailed my foot with those scissors. I meant to put them in my basket and I totally missed. Okay. We are going to go with, we're going to use this Farm Sweet Farm first. Let me set this stuff off to the side here. And I want to make sure that I have a super flat surface, okay? And a surface that is sturdy and doesn't have a lot of give. So my craft table has a little bit of a cushion in it, okay? And so I need something to kind of sit on top of it that's a little bit harder. So I have my little cutting mat right here that I'm going to use to do my stenciling on. Okay. So I did kind of measure out the width of my fabric that I want to use. Okay. And as long as it's wide enough to fit the words Farm Sweet Farm on here, then I'm good to go. Now I have lots of little threads. Let me pull these little threads. I like my fabrics kind of tattered and torn and just gives you that homey feel, right? And that vintage feel, if you will. Hey, Miss Mary. Good morning, Denise. How are you, friend? Um, so hard surface. Now, if you really want to make sure you do this the proper way, you'll probably want to use some painter's tape and paint tape down your pieces. Okay. I did I did a doozy on that. This is gonna bug me until I get it off. That's okay. My heat tool is not quite heating it up enough. Okay, I have a stencil brush. Okay, just a little mint, small little stencil brush. Essential Stencils has some amazing stencil brushes that you can look through on their website. Um, but if you have a lot of times the stenciling brushes, they are shaped to kind of give you the best look and the best effect at applying the paint to whatever surface you're applying it to. Ooh, I about shook that and I forgot I had the lid loose. Um, my paint had some crusties around. Let's get that off. Okay. Now, well, let's put this down and let's get to stenciling, shall we? I want to make sure that I have all the wrinkles out from underneath because my fabric is kind of wrinkly by design. I want it that way. Okay. So I just have to be a little extra careful and make sure everything is flattened down when I go to apply my paint. Now you notice over here to the side, I do have some paper towels because this is where you're going to offload. Okay. You will hear a lot of people say something about offloading. All right. And that's simply by taking the excess paint off of your brush so that it doesn't bleed under your stencil and kind of make a mess. So let me kind of get some paint loaded onto my brush. And you will also hear, or I have before, lots of ladies in stencil, they say less is more. So that's where we're going with. Thank you so much. Hey, Miss Casey, Brandy, you had people in your house thinking I was baking something tasty to eat just to find out it was from crafting. I know, Miss Brandy. Oh my goodness. So funny. Okay, so I'm going to be holding this probably from the center. I'm going to take my brush and I'm just going to swirl it over the letters and in the design. So let me see where you all can see. You can see right here really well. So I'm going to start right here. Oh, let me offload a little bit. Take my brush and just kind of twirl it. Let me put this where you can see it. Twirl it in a little circle on that paper towel. And then I'm going to hold it and take a deep breath. Hey, go for it. Here we go. We're gonna go for it. And I do want this kind of like a weathered look. So I'm not gonna look for complete coverage on my letters. Okay. I want that faded and worn appearance to my letters. Okay. As long as I kind of get a general coverage, I'm good. Okay. And it will give you that more vintage look on that vintage rake that we're going to be using. So if you tuned in late, you have no idea what we're using this for. Oh, you're in for a treat. I have a fun vintage piece that I'm adding. I'm making sort of like a taking it, making a spin on garden flags, if you will, sort of. Um, we're going to create three little hanging flags. Okay, let me see if I can scoot this because my Facebook friends need to see. You love the vintage look? Oh, I know you do. I know you do. Good morning, Miss Kelly. How are you? Okay. I wanted to show you how stencils can be used in a vintage style. Um, okay, I am picking up a little bit more paint on my brush, so I'm going to go back over here and I'm going to offload a little bit. Okay, and then I need to make sure that this stencil is pressed down firmly and that I can hold on to it. Press down firmly to my fabric and stencil it. Okay. Now, if you want to use like a pouncing motion, you can definitely do that too. I've seen some creators do that as well as using a sponge sometimes to kind of apply um, your paint. Now, I'm using a chalk paint. Okay, it is super thick by nature, and I'm hoping that will kind of work to my advantage as well when it comes to maybe preventing any bleeding from occurring under the stencil. Okay. Are we ready to reveal and see what we see? See what we look like here. Good morning, Miss Deborah. Good morning. How are you? Okay, let's see. Let's see. Let's see. You're holding your breath. You're holding your breath. Oh, yes, 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 yes. It worked. Okay, let me sit. Oh, I did not think this through. I need a spot to sit this down until I can take it to wash it off. And these just wash clear with some soap and water. Nothing complicated about that. So look at that. Doesn't that look amazing? Oh my gosh. Now I know it's backwards for you all. I hate that. But now let me show you. There are some little areas in these letters that have, you can see that right there on the R. See that little break? Sorry about my painted finger there. That little break in the R right there at the top. Take you a little paintbrush, a little fine detailed paintbrush, little fine tipped, and just ever so slightly, just dab those little areas to cover those breaks up. Those have to be there in order to keep the stencil, the letters intact. Otherwise, there would not be anything there to kind of hold the pieces of those letters together. Okay. And I know there's a technical term for those little things, but I don't know what it is. Good morning. Bridges. Thank you, Wanda. Thank you. Uh, so I'm just dabbling in my little tipped paintbrush in there and just filling in those bridges. And I'm just doing it really light because remember, I applied my paint really light, so I don't want my bridges to be obvious um, by filling them in too dark or heavy. Okay. It just takes like a little swish, just a little swish, and you get them covered. And then nobody will ever know. And that just gives it a more finished look. Okay. It really does. Now, my style is vintage, and so I can kind of get away. I can kind of get away with some little boo-boos here and there. Um, So for me, this really works to my advantage. Okay. So here's my flag number one, my hanging flag that if you miss it at the beginning, I'm going to be using on my garden rake. So let me kind of give you a little quick look at what my vision is here. Okay. I have a wire uh fence that surrounds my chicken run, right? And on that fence, I like to decorate it. Now, right now it's pretty ugly because our spring is just starting. It's not been warm enough. I don't have plants or flowers growing out there. But in the summer, if you've seen any of my live videos when I've been out crafting by the chicken coop, you know exactly what I mean. And I might share a picture with you later today. That's exactly what I'll do. I'll share a photo from last summer of when I had that coop all jazzed up. So this is going to hang on my fence, this vintage garden rake. It's going to hang on my fence. And I wanted some things to kind of dress up this long. I mean, it goes on. I can't even stretch it across. It goes on forever. So I have lots of hanging space that I can decorate from on this garden rake. Is that not the the crustiest, rustiest vintage garden rake you've ever seen. It's beautiful and it's perfect because you all know I love the vintage style. So I think this is going to be darling. Okay, so that's flag number one. Now, if you missed the beginning, I kind of showed you what my theme was, right? It's farm and it's chicken theme. So that's what we're going with. So this is number one. Now I need to cut this down real quick. I need to cut this down to size and I need to leave enough room at the top so that I can wrap this around the pole and have enough room, kind of like a curtain rod. You know how you thread, put something on a curtain rod? That's what I need. And I'm going to make a running stitch on this to make a little pocket, a little rod pocket. So I'm going to just trim it down to about right there. And all I'm doing is making a slit and I'm just going to rip it. Remember, we're going vintage here. We want it to look, we want it to look vintage. So I'm going to fold it over and sew just a straight stitch across the back. And that's going to make the rod pocket that I can just slide this right onto my garden rake pole. See where I'm going with that? Woo-hoo! I love it. I love it. Okay. Now, here's our second little flag that we're going with here. And where did she go? We're going to put little Henny Penny on this one. And let me think about this. Which direction do I want her facing? Um, that little paintbrush is rolling on me. I'm thinking, I think I want her facing this way. Okay, so let me line this up. Let me line this up. Now, this one's going to be a little bit trickier because I have a bigger open space in the center here. Are you all liking this so far? Might want to make sure it goes around the right. Yes, I will, Patty. I will measure it before I make the stitch across. Yes, yes, yes. Definitely want to make sure that your pocket is big enough. All right, I want to stretch this fabric out because remember, my fabric is wrinkled and all that. So I want to make sure that it's flat. Okay, let me load my brush up here. And I hear my chickens out there. I don't know if y'all will be able to hear them or not. Oh, my window won't open. I can't. I can't do it with one hand. I was gonna open it so y'all could hear the chickens. It won't work. I can't do it with one arm. The window's too heavy. Okay. We're gonna hold it in the center. We're gonna hold our breath. Even Shayna, and we're gonna go in for it. Here we go. I'm gonna start. I'm gonna pounce on this one because I feel like if I rub it in a circle, it's gonna move my fabric too much because it has such a wide open space. Okay, so I'm gonna pounce on this one, and I think that'll give us a better look. Let me get a little more paint. Now, I will say stenciling on fabric is probably quite different than stenciling on a hard surface, maybe like wood or something like that. This fabric really wants to soak up my paint. So for this, you might need a little bit more of a loaded paintbrush, okay, than what you would typically on other surfaces like wood. Okay. So we're just pouncing right along here. And I'm getting ready to show you how we're going to tie this all in with some vintage looking bling. Yes, we're combining bling with the rust and the vintage today. Dressing this up because every hen house needs some bling, even if it's just the tiniest little specks of bling. Good morning, Miss Beth. How are you, friend? Good morning, Mary. Hey, Miss Jeanette. Okay, I'm going here. As I go, I'm trying to make sure that I do not move this stencil very much because if you do that, you're going to have fuzzy outlines, not a real clean and crisp edge, okay? Oh, the birds are just singing like crazy this morning. The grass is starting to green up out there. Really noticeable within the last day or two. I am ready for spring. Okay, I'm just making sure that I get right in that little area. Um, could you pounce the outline of the stencil, then remove it? Yes, I'm sure you probably could do that video. That would be a great idea. That would be a great idea. All right, we're in for the feet, and I think I can get these feet a little easier because they are smaller openings. Just don't want to move my fabric around a lot underneath there. Okay, now let's pick this up. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Okay. Now, I kind of have a little bit of a speckled look here, so let's use this brush and let's kind of fill in some of those speckles, which is kind of funny because our favorite little hen out there in the hen house, she is black and white speckled. And so she kind of fits the theme here. She kind of fits the theme. So I'm not gonna leave her a little bit speckled. I like that. Okay. Oh, that's so cute. Oh, I love it. Okay, now take that little your little fine tipped paintbrush, and there's a little bridge area right here from the feet up to the bottom here that we need to fill in. And if you have any little spots that you want to just kind of crispen up, like I'm going to crisp up her little beak here just so that it's a little bit more defined. Okay, there we go. Okay, let's put the lid on the paint here. And- Okay, let's turn this around. How cute. How cute did that turn out? And it's so simple, so simple. You love the speckles, Yvonne? I think so too. I think that's sweet. And if you all seen my little, her name is Purdy. She is a barred rock hen, and she is black and white speckled, and she has been my kids' favorite since day one. And they love her. And she is speckled like that. Okay, so here are the two flags that we have. Now, flag number three. Flag number three. We got some little complications here. I didn't bring in my iron, and I need to reheat this in order to pull it off of my cardstock. I printed on fabric, but we're going to kind of go with it. If I can reheat it, it will peel right off. We're just gonna go with it. But do as I say, not as I do on this one. This is Miss Catherine's carrot design. That worked out. I just kind of the faster that I went with it, the better, honestly. Um, this is Miss Catherine's sweet little vintage carrot design. Now, this has not been coffee stained. Um, because here was my thinking on this one. I kind of like a little bit of variation. I don't want everything to look exactly the same. Okay. So here's my thinking on this one. I kind of like this one in the middle because it's a little bit smaller. And in fact, it's a little off-centered. I forgot I had to do that for my printer. So let's take a little snip right here. I like to rip my fabric because it gives me the tattered edges, okay? And so when you rip it, those little pieces will ravel, and that gives you sort of like that vintage, just tattered and worn look, okay? So I could leave it like that. I probably don't have enough room at the top of this one to make a loop to go on my garden rake. But here's my other thinking. Oh, did I knock it over? Yeah. I have a feed sack, an old feed sack. You could use burlap as well. I'm going to cut a piece of this feed sack to apply this onto. That's my plan, I believe, and that'll give me a little bit different look. Okay, so this feed sack, and I'm not going to use the side that has all the print on it. I'm going to cut this down. Let's slide this over for just a minute. I'm going to cut this down and only use the back side so we won't even see. Actually, if I just Glue that on there, it won't even show, I don't think. Okay, this is quite big. This feed sack is quite large. All right, so I'm gonna cut this about 2 inches wider than my print. And I printed Miss Catherine's carrot design on fabric. Okay, I like to use just regular muslin material. You could also use drop cloth. They are super similar in style and color and feel and everything. So use whatever you have access to. Okay. I probably should have thought to cut that a little. I just pulled my mic cord all the way over. Okay, let's take this little thing off. Okay, now this is the side that has, oh, they both have ink on them. Okay, I'm gonna kind of put this down towards the bottom. Let's thin it down just a little bit. Let's make it a little bit more narrow. This is just like burlap. So if you have burlap, use it. Do use it. Don't have to have a feed sack. Okay. Now I'm going to take some of the edges and I'm going to pull away some of those threads so that I get that raveled look. Okay. We'll check on our time. We have 10 minutes. We're doing good. We're doing really good. Okay. I am for this, I'm just for right now. Let's see. Let me think about this. Um, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this to my sewing machine later, and I'm just going to create a running stitch all the way around the edges to secure this onto the feed sack burlap material. Okay, and that will kind of give it good stickability. But for temporary hold, let's use a little bit of some fabric glue, hot fabric glue. Okay, and just kind of secure the corners for now. Just ever so slightly. I've got glue strings. Um, I'm just going to put just a few little circles of that glue on there and then just press it down. And that will hold it in place when I go to sew around the edges, to stitch around the edge. I'm not putting enough on there to really hold much long term, just for now. Okay. Give you an idea of what we're going with here. And we will do the same thing when it comes to attaching this to the garden rake. Okay, so ooh, every hen needs a little bit of bling, including Miss Purdy here. And I think Miss Purdy would like some pearls. I think so too. You love these, Darlene? Oh, good. Um, let's see. Let's see. Miss Purdy might like some pearls, some vintage little pearls. Let's put, oh, I like that one on her. Now, I would probably secure these with just a little running of thread, honestly. They have the little loop, just like a button on the back. I don't know if y'all can see that. Like a little button on the back. They have just a little loop that you can just thread and put that right on there. But I think Miss Purdy needs some little dazzle on. Oh, that's still a little bit wet. Okay, let's put just a tiny bit of glue and I will hand stitch this on after we're finished today. I will hand stitch this little dazzle. This is from totallydazzled.com. The stencils are from essentialstencil.com. And we will be selecting a random name from each live show today. And your name will be put into a pot for a special $50 gift from each of the three sponsors this weekend. So 150 total gifting for those of you that are in the comments today. I will be selecting a name from the Facebook live stream today to be have their name put into the drawing. Okay. Now, here we go. We're going to pretend. that my garden rake, here's my vintage rusty crusty garden rake. I'm gonna have to probably do it this way though, because oof, I've got too many things right here. There's a little squirrel outside my window. So as you see, I'm going to sew some little pockets on these little garden flags. Okay. And they're gonna hang from my rake just like so, like some little mini garden flags. Do you see how I'm doing these? Now, in between each little flag, I don't know if my little Dazzle's dry yet. We'll see. This one's gonna go on right here. Sort of think of it as like a little, sort of like a little clothesline. No, it's gonna be a little flag line. That's the way we're gonna hang this up. And this will be such a cute little statement piece hanging on my little wall. Now, I do think that this little piece needs to be coffee grunge. I'm just gonna say, I think it needs to be grunge. But in between each flag, I need some more little, some more little, I don't know, a little more oomph in between each flag. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use some of these little vintage, not vintage, coffee stained, I cannot talk, coffee stained pieces and make some little ties in between each one. Here, I got an idea. Got an idea. Let me see if I can prop this up right here. Got a lot of maneuvering going on here. Oh, we can make this work. Prop it up right there. And we'll use it just like that for right now. I need to stretch it a little bit more. Okay, this will let me do this. And I can pin it and you can see from the back. Good morning. Good morning. Yeah, we'll coffee grunge the carrot. And I'm going to stitch a pocket on the back of each one of these little flags so that they'll slide on and stay put. Okay. And I'm just gonna tie these little raveled strips of fabric, and these will kind of give a little bit of extra little things that blow in the wind because this will be hanging out on my garden wall. Okay, see where we're going with it? You love it, Miss Sadie. See, this is something that could be super easy to make. Super easy to make. And if maybe you don't have a garden wall, well, guess what? You can use these stencils to make your own little garden flags. I know you've seen the little mini garden flags. They come with the little mini garden stakes. You could make your own custom little mini garden flags just like this. Just like this, using any of their stencils. They have some super cute little stencil designs that fit lots of different seasons and holidays. You could customize it, monogram one. You could really get creative with color. Now, I just went with a simple black and white, but I wanted the carrot to kind of have some color to add a little bit of character. I didn't want everything to be exactly the same. So I think that that kind of fits the theme and still coordinates. Um, Yes, I'm gonna stitch a little pocket on the back of each one of these, just like a little curtain or like a little flag. You know, the little garden flags have the little pocket so that you can just slide them on. That's what I'm going to do. That's what I'm gonna do. And I will stitch those up. Now, you know what else you could do? In between each little flag, and I don't know if y'all can see these very well. In between each little flag, I could also add another little touch of vintage charm. These little vintage antique bronze little charms, I could tie those on right there in between each little flag. I don't have another one unwrapped. In between each little flag, and that would give it some darling vintage charm as well. How fun is that? Now, let me tell you, do you think you can do this? I know you can. I know you can. Miss I know Miss Sheila has the next creator ready for you all. But listen, all day long, the projects that you will see will be using stencils, the Dazzle and Bling, and the decoupage. Now, I chose to decoupage and sew my print on, But you'll see lots of different styles, lots of different techniques. So I want you to head over. Yes, I will spray them with some waterproofing spray. Good question. Good question. Yes, I will just give them a quick spray of some matte sealer or some waterproofing sealer. Something that you spray like leather boots or leather jackets with will work just fine for this too. So I want you to enjoy it. Head over. Yes, I will, Miss Tammy. I always love posting a final picture for you, and I will definitely do that. Thanks for joining me today. Enjoy the weekend and head over to the Craft on the Clock group and enjoy. Enjoy the rest of the day and tomorrow as well. Thanks so much for joining me. I'll see you again soon.